Hello and welcome to another episode of the Transportation Exchange Podcast, presented by Rush Truck Centers of Canada. I'm your host, Jason Cuddy. On today's episode, we're excited to welcome Oscar Rambola from eCapital. Oscar, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me today. It's a great opportunity, and I really appreciate it. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us as we record. It's frigid and cold, so we're nice and warm somewhere else than outside. But I'm excited for this one to learn a bit more about what you guys do as a business and kind of its play in the industry. And we'll dig into that in a little bit more detail. But first, I want to dig into you and your background and maybe give us some insight into how you got into this industry.
It's been a long time. It's been almost 30 years that I got into the financial industry. And interesting enough, I come from a small business background because of my family businesses. And I've always been entrepreneurial when it comes to, getting ideas on how to make money. So I'm not different than anybody else who's out there and trying to put together a business or carry on with a business. I was invited to work at a company, a factoring company, financing company years ago. And it was interesting how I came to be there. I was actually the MC for my sister-in-law wedding. And one of the people that were attending saw me, and they called me immediately and says, "Look, I need somebody like you to be running the business development department of the company. And, I really need somebody I can trust." So I said, "Well, I'm honored. Thank you so much. But, I don't know very much about factoring as such." And, when you go to business school, they probably devote about 20 minutes to talk about factoring. And then, there I was, offering this opportunity. And so I said, "Well, okay, I'll take it on. Let's see what's all this about." And the more I learn about it, the more fascinated I was, because, I realized that most companies and most small entrepreneurs, when you start with your business, the first thing you think of when it comes to money is go to the bank. But I knew that the banks perhaps will not be interested in small businesses. And, they're only interested in when you already have developed sustainable, large amount of business and receivables and all that. And I realized that was not a solution for a lot of these companies. So I was quite curious to see how we can do this. And then, I was told that all the financing is based on the accounts receivables, on the invoices. So even if you're a brand new company, but you have good clients and you have invoices already, then instead of waiting 30, 40 days to get paid, you can get paid right away. So it's sort of like you control your own financing. So I thought that's amazing, because that's really what most great entrepreneurs all across the country, they're looking for. They're looking for a way that they can have the cash flow that you need to be able to either buy more product or, service more clients. And so I really like that. So we started with that, and we did extremely well. We worked with a lot of transportation companies at that time, and we thought it was a great fit. And I thought, well, this is very successful. So we grew quite a bit. Moving forward at 2006 or so, I left that company after almost 10 years of being with the company. I was involved in all kinds of other financing, international financing, small and medium-sized companies, large corporations. I thought, well, you know what, there's still a niche that we need to work with. And that's what I started working with a company that was called ITC, Invoice to Cash. And that was a company that was very niche in the way they were approaching their financing. They was specifically working with the transportation industry, small and medium-sized companies, 1 to 10 trucks. And we thought we really have a call, to help the industry and, to do what we love the most. In 2013, this company, of course, we needed more capital. And that's one of the issues that you have when you are in the financing, that you never have enough money. The same way, it's not different from any other company. You get to the point that you have, some money, you put it out, you collect, you're making money, but your clients are growing, you are growing as a company. So we joined forces with a company called AccuTrack, and eCapital, ITC and AccuTrack became, partners, and we developed and grew to an extent that we again needed more capital. And in 2019, we joined forces with Global Merchant Fund, which is a company that out of Florida, and it helped us to move into the next level, which was to step into the American market. And we did extremely well. We saw opportunities of other freight factoring companies needing extra capital, and we replicate the same model. So we acquire other companies moving forward. In 2020, we decided to rebrand all these companies that they've been acquired over the last 4 or 5 years under the banner of eCapital. And then, pretty much the sky is the limit. We have a good financing capital structure. We have clients, we have service, we have experience. Everyone involved in the company comes from the transportation industry. And we really are at a position right now that we're probably the largest factoring company in Canada, and we're probably the 4th in the US. So it is a success story. And I've been involved for, every step of the way to this point, and I still retain a partnership in the company. And I love what I do. I love working with transportation companies. I love talking to people. I love finding solutions. Not every company is the same or the same needs. So whether we're working with, as I said, 1 to 10 trucks or 10 to 50 trucks or 50 to 300 trucks, the needs are different. So we're able to put together programs that really assist them, and not only financing, but we also offer a menu of other products that really helps the companies to be successful.
Nice. And as you go through the history of you getting involved into the factoring side and watching it kind of grow and evolve, I mean, that's through the businesses you've been part of, but obviously in the background, like most of us, we have interests, or we lend our time and support, to other things in the industry. You have some other, roles you've played kind of outside of your day-to-day role that kind of tied to. Maybe speak a bit to some of those items.
Absolutely. I mean, I always think of this saying, it takes a village, to take care of a child, or it takes a village to take care of a business. And we don't operate isolated. I mean, one of the things I have learned through my life, my professional life, is that you're as good as the people around you and the colleagues and professionals that are with you. And you can learn so much, and people learn from you as well. So that's also the reason why I'm always happy to share moments like this one, which we can talk about finances, we can talk about transportation. In 2006, I realized that a lot of the financing companies in Canada, they were operating in isolation. Nobody was really talking to anybody. And I realized that there was a need for sharing experiences. I mean, we're all competitors, but at the same time, we have similar problems. So I decided to put together the International Factoring Association in the Canadian chapter, which is the first chapter ever for the International Factoring Association, originally from the US, but now they have chapters across the United States and in Europe. And I really thought that was the only way we can all succeed, making sure that, we can share some of our experiences, and something that started very informal with just some lunches, sitting around talking about, the business. It developed into something a lot more formal. People wanted to bring in speakers. They wanted to run some training sessions. And, our main idea is education. That's our goal. It's nothing to do with being mediators between financing companies having issues or anything like that. We really want to talk about what we do and how factoring is a sustainable way of financing your business. And so that's been extremely successful. We've been doing that, as I said, since 2006. To the present, we also participate in some events in the US as a Canadian chapter. So it's been successful. I also been asked to be part of the advisory committee for the International Factoring Association in the US, which I've done. This is my 3rd term. And again, this is the idea of talking about some of the issues happening in Canada and what we do and how transportation is a good fit for the factoring industry. As well, I sit at an advisory committee on factoring for the SFNet. Again, that's an association of financial companies. And I also run different training sessions for brokers or people that are in the financial industry that they like to bring business to financing companies like eCapital. So I do that as well. So I'm quite involved in every aspect of financing. I go and sit down with clients or potential clients. I've done a couple last year of drivers appreciation days in which we go to a truck stop and we offer free lunches for the drivers in appreciation to all the efforts that, everyone has been doing, but especially drivers through the pandemic and how this industry has been extremely important and continues to be very important for all of us, whether you are in finances, whether you are waiting for your packages to arrive at home from our friend Amazon, whatever it is that we're doing, people don't realize that everything we have around us is being moved by a truck, from our computers to our phones to our chairs, everything. And I always, say this because I think it's important for everyone to realize that there are industries that they really help us to have a better quality of life. And then, we talk a lot about, of course, of the health industry and what's been so significant for us in the last 2 years. But we also need to talk about the transportation industry has been extremely pivotal. And whenever there's any issues, like we have issues, in British Columbia a couple of months ago, and then, we didn't have certain things that we require, and products get delayed on deliveries, and then you really feel it. So we need to understand that we don't operate isolated. We are part of a much larger network of things happening around us, and I think probably the pandemic helped us to think in those terms. That we need to help each other and work together. But if we also in the process, you also develop your business, develop your profession. That's a win-win situation. Just appreciating, as I said, we're as good as the people around us.
Agreed. No, well said. And well said in recognizing and thanking the drivers and all the companies that have got us through, so far with everything that's been thrown at them. And, part of getting through what's thrown at them, I think is a good segue into, an overview of what freight factoring is. So maybe for those who aren't really familiar with it, specifically as an overview, what is freight factoring?
Well, in a nutshell, what we do is, as I mentioned before, when you start a business, you need some capital to be able to run it. And in the transportation industry, we have different challenges. We definitely have issues when it comes to having enough money for fuel, having enough money for the equipment leasing, repairs, maintenance, insurance, permits, tires, tools, drivers. So that money is in the company because you are pulling loads. You are on the road. You have invoices that are there. The issue that happens to trucking companies as well as any other companies is that it may take a while until you get that money. It may take 30 days, 40 days. On average, in the United States, payments come in about 35 days. In Canada, we take a bit longer, 40, 45 days, even 50 or 60 days, which means that you got to dip into your own savings. You got to dip into your credit cards or in your line of credit if you have one or whatever it is until you get paid again. So as we know, a truck on average produces about $20,000 a month in invoices, let's say. So if you think that it's going to take about 40 days to get paid, that one truck is going to take about, $50,000 that you're going to have out there by the time you actually get paid. Right. So that's a lot of money. So what factoring does for you is to provide you same-day funding on those invoices. So you present that invoice to eCapital in the morning and you get funded the same day. So the advantage of that is that it's almost like working COD. It's almost like saying, you drop your load and they give you a check. Right. And that provides you with a lot of freedom to make decisions, freedom to meet your commitments. You also have the freedom to be able to pay your drivers, and your drivers know that you're good for the money. They know that, they can rely on you. All these things that become so important for every company, and for especially when you're a carrier, you want to make sure that you have that sort of support. We tend to think in banks that will give you a line of credit, but even lines of credit are limited to a certain amount that the bank decides how much they want to give you. And we all know that as the businesses grow, that amount may not be enough. Those limits may not be enough. So in factoring, what we've done is we base our financing on the quality of your clients and also on the quality of the receivable. So if the service is being provided and the invoice is being issued and all the paperwork is done, then we will give you 100% of that invoice 100% of the amount of that invoice will be funded immediately into your account. So that is a solution, but it's not enough in terms of what the reality of our clients is. So we have also a whole menu of other products that we'll talk about it maybe a little bit later. But in a nutshell, really what we're providing is immediate cash for our clients, cash that you can count on, that you know that money is going to be there right away. So you can make decisions and you can move forward with your business. You do your share by doing exceptional, good service to your clients. We do our side by providing you the cash flow and also managing your accounts receivables. So factoring companies, what they also do is provide you with credit information on potential new clients. That we want to protect you. We're going to protect that invoice and make sure that invoice gets paid. We want to make sure you have all the cash flow you need so you can grow. And it's a win-win situation, because if you do well, we will do well because we'll have more invoices to finance. And make sure that we protect you along the way. So this is a relationship that is almost like a partnership when it comes to how we are working with you and the funding, because you pick and choose how many invoices you want to send to us. You may have some clients that they pay you within 5 days. Doesn't happen very often, but it could happen depending on your terms. You may be working with a freight broker that you have no information on. You may want to know some credit information about this particular company. So you come to us and we provide you unlimited credit information online, real time, about those companies. So we really start developing this synergy between companies that is more than just funding. It's a back office service that it helps you to be successful and to grow.
Right. And I see this, when I look at kind of the mix of what our industry is, you got kind of three main players: owner operators, carriers / fleets, and then freight brokers. My default goes to, this is a phenomenal opportunity for owner operators who don't maybe have the size and the scope to have an accounts receivable team, maybe not even, they're great at, driving or managing the fleet, but not so much at the back end paperwork side. So this is one less thing to worry about, but clearly it's not specifically just for them. Obviously it kind of taps into all the different levels of the industry and players.
Absolutely. I mean, in my experience over the years, what we realize is that there's a lot more to running the business, as everybody knows, of course, but sometimes we're so embedded in what's happening on the day-to-day operation that we don't take perspective. And you want to be able to take some time to plan your business. You want to be able to do some analysis of your business. You want to make sure that the cost per mile is there. You want to make sure that so many different elements that make a successful company being successful. We find that a lot of the companies, transportation, as we mentioned, is an essential service. But, if you have poor management, if you have trouble with your finances, if you're charging the wrong rates for your services, if you're not being compliant with the federal, provincial regulations, or if you're not getting the professional help you need, and you're not ultimately meeting your customers' expectations, that's really the demise of most companies. It's not necessarily just cash flow. So when we talk to our clients, we are trying to assess how they're running their business. And because we come from the transportation industry and we understand some of the pitfalls in the industry, we advise our clients as well. So our accounts executives, they're not just processing invoices. We're talking to our clients and develop a business relationship in which we can advise them. Perhaps you may need to look into some technology. You may have to look into some, maintenance issues. What are you doing with your trailers? What are you doing with your assets? Are they too old? Are they running 24/7? Are you having, park and all these elements that they need to be aware of, which, innately most of our clients know, but they don't have the time to think about it because they're putting so much energy into all the other things happening. You were talking about the weather. We all know that when weather gets this cold and all kind of issues happen, with the trucks on the road and all kind of stuff happens. So we are trying to provide our clients with a solution based on cash, but also a solution when it comes to the back office. So they can take the time to take care of those clients or the services, or what's going on with trailers, what's going on with equipment, what's going on with all that. We'll take care of that back office, following up on those invoices, making sure the cash is in the bank accounts, making sure that they have a strong fuel program, that they are actually, the profits are there. All these things, as we work with our clients, all these topics come up and we talk to them about it. So whether you're new in the industry or whether you've been in the industry for a while, there's a lot of conversation going on. There's a lot of consulting that we do that, is part of our service. As I said, if you're a robust company, you'll do well. And if you do well, we will do well. So a lot of our clients, they stay with us for a long time. We have clients that have been with us for 15, 20 years because they really found a true solution. They don't have to worry about that part. They can keep on, adding trucks to their fleets. They can keep on, developing the business, and we'll help them. We'll help, as I said, every step of the way. So that's really our perspective.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like you say, like the consulting part, you become a partner within these companies. And I think part of it is because the benefit of factoring is you are that back end administrative financing support. So, it's that division in a company that would have a handful of people in a team. You effectively become that for them and, providing that solution for them. And I think the other part is interesting, when I think of factoring, in my head, I always go to cash flow because that's obviously, the main factor of what it does. But the part I never thought of from a cash flow point of view, because every time you think cash, like you said at the beginning, you revert back to a bank, but you're not borrowing here. You're not borrowing any money to do any of this. So technically you're leaving all those other lines of available financing kind of untouched, leveraging the service of factoring, what you guys do to generate cash flow. But I think that's a key thing when, especially in this day and age, like you said, as companies are new or starting out, it's a different avenue for them, but it's not borrowing. And I think you think because of capital money, you think borrowing, lending, you're tied into to that connection.
Mm-hmm. Which, I completely understand, but you also, I'm working on an article on the history of factoring that is going to be published in for one of the associations magazines. And it's quite interesting because, it goes back a long, long time ago. I won't bore you with details, but the interesting part is when it comes to eCapital and what we've done for the market is that we have taken factoring to a completely new level, to the point in which, as you said, it's not just about providing money, but providing fuel cards, providing a load board. So we make sure that it's not empty miles there. We are providing a Visa card, commercial Visa card for our clients as well, a revolving line of credit that is attached to the funding. So the administration of the receivables, the credit information. So we're really providing a program that it makes complete sense and frees up the owner of the companies or even some of the staff working for the companies to really take care of client services, because we all know there are issues happening all the time. And it's, you want to make sure that your clients are serviced properly. But what we do is something that you can outsource from your company. But what we cannot do is take care of your clients. So that's something that relationship that you build with your clients is extremely important. And, we can always be the bad guys, when somebody is not paying on time and says, these payments are not coming through, and the way we do it is, we use a lot of technology, as you can imagine. We just, so you get a bit of perspective of how many invoices we have financed in the last few years. We are over 12 million invoices. Wow. So as you can imagine, if you don't have the technology base, you wouldn't be able to do this. So, when we, and this is one of the topics sometimes we're asked, I have such a good relationship with my clients, but if you come into the picture, then what's going to happen? Well, it's very simple. We work for you. We are the accounts receivable department for you. So you tell us what you want us to do. If you tell me don't call the client before 20 days, we won't call the client. But as a matter of fact, we do very little calling. I mean, most of the stuff is done electronically. We send statements by email. We know whether your client has opened that email. We know who's been sent to. We follow through. Most companies pay on time. Otherwise, the whole economy will fall apart. Sure. At the beginning of the pandemic, we were thinking, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of delay on payments. We haven't. And it makes complete sense if you think about it, because if companies are not paying their carriers, these carriers are not going to deliver.
Yes.
And if they don't, it's bad enough as it is without product. Can you imagine if then, and that's a reality of the industry, companies do pay, but they do pay in 30, 40 days. So we need to help our clients to get that money faster. But it's not by calling the clients and forcing them into pay, because that's not going to happen. They pay whenever they pay. They pay at the invoice date, and that's 30 days from there. But it's important for us to monitor the payments. So if we haven't received those payments, or if it's just a problem with the invoice, we're able to address it right away. And everything we do is documented online. So our clients, they can use our app or they can go online and they can see what efforts are we making to collect, to follow up for those invoices. Sometimes it may be an issue with insurance, maybe any. So we'll talk to our clients as, there's an issue with this invoice and can you please clarify the situation? And sometimes we'll ask our clients, we invite them to, mediate with the client to see what's going on, the payer. We're not here to push anybody around. We're here to get the job done the same way we would do if we were in your office. And you say, hey, Oscar, can you follow up with this invoice? I'll do exactly the same thing. I will call the client, make sure that the client responds. If they don't respond, I will send them an email. We even use text. We send some of our payers text to make sure that, they're getting the message across. And because we're accountable to you, you want to make sure that we're doing a good job. So right. It's in our best interest to make sure that the job is done at every level. We give you the money on time. We follow up for the invoices. We make sure the information is online so you can monitor it. So the people that before were taking care of accounts receivables in your company, they could be servicing your own clients and grow your business and make sure that your company becomes the best company ever. And, shippers or freight brokers will want to work with you. So that's pretty much the equation, how it works when you look at it from a completely different perspective, a global perspective. It's not just about the money. It's about everything else we do for you. It's a true solution. It's really a solution that you have control over. Whereas when you work with banks, and we need banks, but we need banks for different things. But the banks determines how much money they're going to give you, and it's based on your assets. So if you need $100,000 and you have your home and you put your firstborn as a collateral, they give you $5,000. Well, that's not enough, right? You need more. So how do you go from there? This is a solution. You have an invoice, you bring it to us, you open an account with us, and we'll give you that. We'll give you fuel cards, discounts. You get discounts when you use it in Canada and the US. We give you online information. We give you media cash. We give you, as I said, access to a low board, free of charge. When you sign up with us, you get the whole package. It's up to you if you want to use it or not, but it's not extra. We don't charge extra for any of this because these are tools that really help you to be successful. And if you're successful, we are successful, as I said.
Yeah, it's important to know it's not just, like you said, invoice management and payment on it, like all the other products you have online, the line of credit, fuel cards. Again, things that I wasn't aware of, until we had the conversation today as far as, what all can be done with companies like yourself that do factoring. And I think you said it well, like as the outsourcing, you see more and more of it with different parts of it. And we see it in our world. We do a full service lease arm where, you're outsourcing, the equipment ownership and maintenance to somebody else. Let someone else who knows that lane of that business really well, manage that part of it, let you focus on your customer, your client, what you do really well, right? You're in business and you're providing a great business for your customers for a certain reason. And there are certain parts of the business that, you may not have the personnel to do it or the expertise, but you can outsource it and get that level or even higher level than you could have done yourself and allow you to focus your time and energy on doing your core business and letting that run really well and bring in these partners and consultants, like yourself to help them, grow their business and focus the energy on seeing that business grow, which in turn, everyone grows along with it. And I think what you guys offer between the factory and all the things that comes with it, the different companies that can support, I think it's, for some guys who don't know, it's an untapped resource that, they should definitely look into. I know when it was brought to my attention, I'm like, I can't believe people don't use this more often, in all fairness. And maybe more people do than we think, and maybe they blend obviously in their business, but to me, it's a great way to manage that part of your business if it's not your forte in what you do.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because we are so used to it. And because we're entrepreneurs, we're so used to do everything ourselves, right? And we're thinking if we don't do it ourselves, it's not going to be good enough. But it gets to a point in our lives in which we realize, and I guess it's part of the maturity, when you get to a certain age, that you don't have to do everything. And it's okay. Yeah. But you can focus on what you do really, really well. And then you'll be very successful because you have the time to be able to plan the rest of your business, the rest of your operation. And that's really what we try to do with our clients. We try to unburden them from problems and challenges that every business has so they can focus on what they do best. And it's like looking for those good lows, those good deals, rates, the right rate, to be able to benefit. And it's interesting because a lot of our clients, they do tell us that, even when, let's take, for example, freight brokers. We have a freight brokers program that is very successful. And so we have sometimes new freight brokers in the industry. And some of the carriers don't want to work with them because they don't know whether they're going to get paid or not. And that's
right.
the reality of things. But the moment that they see that eCapital is there and eCapital will pay them directly. So we have a program basically that the carrier will issue the invoice to the freight broker and the freight broker will issue an invoice to the shipper. So we take care of both. So we use the invoices to be able to support the financing and the payment of the carriers. So we even go as far as creating a quick pay program. So we can pay the carriers right away for a small fee. And that's a fee that the freight broker will manage. But the idea is for this freight broker to grow consistently. So their job is really to find loads, as many as they can. And if you have a good carrier base, we'll take care of the payments. So these carriers will want to work with this broker because they know they're backed up by eCapital. So it has so many different levels that we can create programs for the transportation industry and being successful. That it blows my mind every time. I mean, as I said, I'm still in touch with clients and new clients, and I go there and see with people. Well, I don't go there as much these days because we can't. But if we could, I would. Yes. It's exciting. You learn about new companies, how they run their business. You bring your expertise. They tell you what they're doing, and hats off to them. There's a lot of great entrepreneurs out there that they're very good at what they do, but they're lacking capital, they're lacking all the other things that we can provide. So it's a win-win situation. It's not a temporary solution like sometimes people thought about it. Factoring is only for companies that are in trouble or companies that they are short of money. Let's face it, if the company's in trouble, we don't want them as clients. Right. Because they won't be able to meet our expectations as clients. So we want companies that are in a period of growth. We want companies that are in a period in which they need to, fulfill some requirements in terms of capital. We've been in situations in which partners were leaving and they wanted to buy each other out, and we use the financing of the receivables to pay the other partner out. So in a time in which a lot of companies are rethinking the roles and whether they want to continue to be the way they are, or people are retiring, the factoring could have a really good place in putting together deals like that. So this. You have to think when you think about factoring that it's based on your invoices. If you have invoices, we can structure the deal in so many different ways. And that's a true solution. As I said, it's not the factoring we were doing 30 years ago. What we are presenting with eCapital is something that goes far beyond. Maybe we don't call it factoring anymore. Maybe we call it, financing solutions. And we are pretty much going in that direction. And I mentioned to you, we launch in the US and we will launch in here in Canada very soon, the eCapital Connect, which is a combination of factoring, revolving line of credit, and a commercial Visa card. And that's something that has been extremely successful in the US. Whether you have one truck or you have 100 trucks, it's the same thing. The revolving line of credit is based on a percentage of the factoring amount that you have outstanding. So this is money that is on this eCapital Connect account that you can move into your bank account if you want from the factoring proceeds or from the revolving line of credit, or you can keep it there and then you use your Visa card whenever you need to. You can issue Visa cards to your drivers and they need to pay for maintenance, tires, anything they need to do, they can use it at the end of the month. We produce a statement. You have all these itemized. You put it, upload it into your accounting program. You know exactly what the expenses have been. And then the payments come from either the revolving line of credit or the factoring account. So this is a true solution, again, to something that a lot of our clients are asking, well, the factoring is great, but I need extra money. Well, we have revolving line of credit for you. You can use it. There may be equipment that comes up for sale. So you need some, $50,000, $100,000. We have two ways of doing it. If you have enough receivables, we can do it through their revolving line of credit, or we can issue a small loan that will help you to do that over a period of, maybe a year or 6 months, whatever it is, a short-term loan. But we allow you to be able to buy that equipment up front out of your own system. So once we get to know you as a client, then we can really structure different ways of helping you and giving you the cash flow that you need. So it's very different from traditional factoring was, and we're really creating quite a mark in the industry when it comes to the creativity that we have. We have a great team of people that all they do is think about new ways of improving our services and bringing real solutions to the transportation industry. That's why we launched the low board before Christmas. And you can go, it's under the 5-star low board, and you can sign up and it's free. Whether you're a client of ours or not, you can use it right away. And there's no limits to it. I mean, we're really promoting it at this point.
Gotcha. So lots to look into, lots to look forward to as we continue on with what you guys are offering and bringing to the industry. And it's been exciting to understand it in more detail. I had a very kind of high level understanding. So this has been great to kind of fill me in and really wrap my head around. I think for everyone listening, what is involved in factoring and understand the whole breadth of solutions that come with it through your business. So again, thank you for taking the time to do that with us today.
It's my pleasure, definitely my pleasure. As I said, we also get into different markets. We also present in Quebec. We have service in French. We of course have some of our sales team that they speak other languages, Hindu and Punjabi and all this, and it's part of trying to bridge the gap in communication with our clients and providing them everything they need to be able to be comfortable and to grow as a company. We base our services on agility, make sure that we are responsive and adapted. We in relationships, as I mentioned, which is very important, accountability, and that's why we have this transparent online service that you can see absolutely everything we're doing, how we're doing it, from checking your accounts to seeing your clients, your collections, all that, and innovation. I mean, we develop a technology department in which we're constantly either acquiring software or creating new systems to be able to provide our clients with everything they need. When it comes to the fuel program, for instance, our clients can actually go online and we create our own portal, and they can turn the cars on and off for their drivers. They can do cash advances for the clients if they want. They have complete control of how the drivers use these fuel cards. And then also they see the discounts and the cost per mile online, and they can download this information at the end of the month to do their taxes. So again, this is another solution that it comes hand in hand with our services and our factoring program.
Excellent. Yeah, it's very robust for sure. So thank you again for taking the time to fill us in on that.
My pleasure.
So that concludes today's episode. I want to thank Oscar from eCapital for joining us. To catch up on past episodes, check out transportationexchangepodcast.ca. And until next time, thanks for listening.